right, buckle up, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. After 20 years in this content creation game, I've learned one thing for sure. Life throws curveballs, and sometimes those curveballs really sting. We're talking about pain, suffering, the stuff we'd rather avoid, but can't. Intro music fades in, upbeat then subtly melancholy. Look, nobody wants to talk about pain. We're bombarded with messages about happiness, success, and living your best life. But what happens when life hands you something less than ideal? What happens when you're facing genuine suffering? That's what we're diving into today. We're not going to sugarcoat it, but we're also not going to wallow in it. We're going to explore why pain is a part of the human experience, and more importantly, how we can navigate it with grace, resilience, and maybe even a little bit of humor. Quick montage of images, scenes, people laughing, people crying. Historical events. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Great, another video about negativity. But trust me, this isn't about dwelling on the bad stuff. It's about understanding it, learning from it, and ultimately finding a way to live a richer, more meaningful life because of it. Transition to talking head, warm lighting, comfortable setting. So, stick around. We're going to unpack the different faces of pain, dig into its roots, and most importantly, explore practical strategies for coping and finding strength in the face of adversity. This is a conversation we all need to have. Let's get started. Segment 1. The many faces of pain beyond the physical. Okay, let's start with something fundamental. What is pain? Most of us immediately think of physical pain, a throbbing headache, a scraped knee, a broken bone. And yeah, that's definitely part of it. Animated graphics showing different types of pain branching out from a central point. It's the ache of loneliness after a breakup, the crushing weight of grief after losing someone you love, the anxiety that gnaws at you before a big presentation. It's the feeling of being betrayed by a friend, the sting of rejection, the quiet desperation of feeling lost and purposeless. Now, the original content talked about pain in these categories, and I think it's important to reiterate them. But I think we can go deeper and explore them with some personal stories. Physical pain. We're talking about the obvious stuff, but also chronic illnesses, disabilities, and the everyday aches and pains that come with being human. Emotional pain. This is where things get tricky. Sadness, anxiety, fear, anger, guilt, shame, hopelessness. The whole spectrum of negative emotions. Social pain. This is the pain that comes from our relationships, or lack thereof. Rejection, isolation, bullying, discrimination, loss. Anything that threatens our sense of belonging. Existential pain. This is the big one. The questions that keep us up at night. What's the meaning of life? Why are we here? What happens when we die? The awareness of our own mortality. Transition to a softer, more reflective tone. I remember a time, years ago, when I was working on a project that I poured my heart and soul into. It was a documentary about the struggles of small business owners during the 2008 recession. I spent months interviewing people, filming their stories, and editing the footage. I was convinced that this film would make a difference. Visual, a brief clip from an old documentary showing a struggling business owner. But when it was finally finished, it was rejected by every film festival I submitted it to. Nobody wanted to see it. I was devastated. It wasn't just the rejection itself, it was the feeling that I had failed these people, that I hadn't done their stories justice. That was emotional pain, amplified by the feeling of letting others down. Then, there was the time my grandfather passed away. He was my hero, my mentor, the man who taught me everything I know about storytelling. Losing him was like losing a part of myself. That was social pain, the gut-wrenching emptiness of loss. A faded photograph of the speaker with his grandfather. And let's not forget about the existential stuff. I think we all have those moments where we stare up at the stars and wonder what it all means. What's our purpose? What's